The following matchup is being played with History Maker Baseball Express, a fast-playing baseball simulation board game, a property of Play Games LLC, copyright 2022, all rights reserved. Welcome to today's episode of the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. In today's episode, we kick off week 2 of our highlighted featuring MLB Stars who played at the College Baseball World Series as we present our second of 2 Rivalry Night episodes between, as we are going to feature, the 2018 Chicago Cubs and the 2018 Milwaukee Brewers. From the Brewers, Ryan Braun was the highlighted player for the Milwaukee Brewers who played at the College Baseball World Series. But who will come out on top of this rivalry between the Cubs and the Brewers? Well, I guess you're going to have to tune in to find out sooner rather than later because Game 1 is coming up next. But first, let's have a little look and say thank you to our official Play Game sponsors for sponsoring today's episode of Rivalry Night as part of the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. We would like to take time to say thank you to our official Play Game sponsors for sponsoring today's episode of the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. This episode, first of all, is being brought to you by your favorite Bitty Beer products. And again, if you choose to drink Bitty Beer, please remember to drink responsibly. Hey, it's a blend of hops, rice, and barley that gives Bitty Beer its taste. But we know better. It's our brewing process that gives our beer that one-of-a-kind flavor that no premium beer can match. Our vats have never been cleaned. There's an itty-bitty bit of history in every can. Bitty Beer, the beer for folks who can't afford better. And by Doc Cola, the official cola drink of the Play Games community. Doc Cola uses finest ingredients to bring you that sugary blast of caffeine you've come to know and love. Twice the sugar and 3 times the caffeine of any other major. Doc Cola is sure to keep fired up from dawn till dusk. Take the Doc Cola challenge. See why our customers agree you'll never be able to wean yourself from a refreshing Doc Cola. And by Pizza Kingdom, the official pizza joint of the Play Games community. Pizza Kingdom, our signature New York style pizza, starts with crust. Then we layer on our homemade pizza sauce and load your pizza up with mounds of cheese. When it comes out of the oven, piping hot, golden brown, and ready for you to enjoy. Then we give the majestic culinary work of art to Mikey, our 16-year-old delivery driver who has responsible as a treat. Pizza Kingdom, it's sheer perfection. Left the store. And by Suncoast Capital Banks. At Suncoast Capital, we live by one simple rule of investing. When our clients win, we win. When our clients lose, we win. Suncoast Capital, you know we're going to get all of your money anyway. And by Rubicon Wireless. Why pay $200 a month for wireless service when you get 4 lines for just $25 a month? With our tin can plan, you can access our wireless network that covers at 25% of coast to coast between the hours of 11 p.m. and 4:30 a.m. Unlimited text and messaging those hours, of course. So why overpay for services you cannot live out? Rubicon Wireless. And we're just about set and ready to go for game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night featuring the 2018 Chicago Cubs and the 2018 Milwaukee Brewers. Your pitching matchup for game 1 is as follows. Wade Miley will go for the Brew Crew. as he has semi-ace, semi-flash, and semi-control, and he will be opposed by Jose Quintana for the Cubs. He has flash and semi-control for game one of this episode of Rivalry Night. With that being said, we are at Miller Park for game one. The Cubs are ready to lead things off to the delightness of boos from the Brewer faithful and the little bit of cheering from the Cubs faithful that have crossed state lines to Miller Park for this clash of the Titans between the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's see what we got for game one as Miley says he's ready to go, and so is Almora. Let's get right down to it and get things started for game one of this episode of Rivalry Night. We'll get things going with a 2-2-5. 2-2-5. Here we are. Ace pitcher on Miley. He's a semi-ace. The decider die says, yes, sir, he is. So therefore, that is going to be a no-runs result of a 5 dot for flash and a blank for control. And that will do it for the top half of the first. The Cubs tried to get something going here, but they could not falter against the ever-dangerous Wade Miley. We go to the bottom half of the inning. It's Cubs nothing, and the Brewers are coming to bat. 1-2-5. Pitcher not fresh. And again, for freshness, for those of you that are tuning in for the first time to this installment of Rivalry Night or to any of the episodes for the History Maker Baseball Express Hour, I play freshness as 3 full fresh, 3 semi-fresh. So everyone is on a neutral playing field. So we ask again, 1-2-5, pitcher not fresh. Well, again, we're still in the freshest innings. Quintana is fresh. Do we have a champion batter on Lorenzo Cain? It seems we do not. So therefore, it's going to be a no-runs result of a 1 blank, and that is going to do it for the first inning here at Miller Park. Your score is a big fat goose egg between the Cubs and the Brewers. We got a 2-2-3. Ace pitcher on Miley. He's a semi-ace, and the decider die says, yes, sir, he is. So therefore, that's going to be a no-runs result of a blank for flash and a dot for control. And that is going to do things here at Miller Park. For the top half of the second, the score remains zip to zip between the Cubs and the Brewers. 1-1-5. Struggler on Quintana. No. Utility on Christian Yelich. Get out of here. 2018 Christian Yelich was MVP-like. Yeesh. So therefore, that's going to be a no-runs result. A men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash. Quintana has flash. And like I said before, it will be a no-runs result. Yeesh. Since Quintana has flash. So therefore, the decider die was not used. Let me just double check. Struggler, no. Utility, no. Okay, so decider die was not used. So it'll be a 1 blank for Jose Quintana off of the no runs result. And that is going to do it for the first 2 innings here at Miller Park. It is a tight one here between the Cubs and the Brewers. Who will blank first as we head to the 3rd inning? 2-4-5. This is for Chris Bryant. But first, is Wade Miley a struggler pitcher? He is not. Sad sack on Chris Bryant. He's not a sad sack. So therefore, that's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash or control. Wade Miley has semi-flash and semi-control printed out on his card. So therefore, we'll keep this decider die roll for flash. So that 2 will be reduced to a 1. Does he have control? He does not. So therefore, the 2 will go to a 1. Chris Bryant will trot his way down to first base, and that will bring up Anthony Rizzo off of the men on base chart. We got a 13. Fresh relief pitcher gets the pop out. And again, freshness is 3 full fresh, 3 semi-fresh. Since we're still in the full freshness innings, Wade Miley will get the pop out to end the top half of the third. The Cubs get a runner on, but they strand a man after 2.5 innings. The score remains 0-0 between the 2018 Chicago Cubs and the 2018 Milwaukee Brewers. Jesus Aguilar will lead things off for the Brew Crew with a 1.55. 1.55. Here we are. Ace pitcher on Quintana. No. Hero on Jesus Aguilar. He's a semi-hero, but the decider die says he is not. So therefore, that is going to be a no runs result of a 5 blank. And that, the decider die was used to check if Jesus Aguilar was a hero or not, and he wasn't. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 5. Well, again, it'll remain blank. Who knew? So therefore, again, a no runs result of a 5 blank. We end the first 3 innings here at Miller Park with a scoreless tie between the Cubs and the Brewers. 9-4-6. Ace or dynamic on Miley. He is a semi-ace. The decider die says he's not. Satsack on Wilson Contreras. He is not a Satsack. So therefore, we got a men on base result. -1 for the black die if control. Just to make sure, 1-4-6, ace, dynamic, semi, decider die was used. Satsack on Contreras, no. So again, -1 for the black die if control for a men on base result. And Wade Miley does have semi-control. The decider die says he most certainly does. So that is a huge break for the Brewers, going from bases loaded to second and third. And that is going to bring up Kyle Schwarber off of the men on base chart. We got a 46. Same reliever gets the strikeout. And again, when we say same, it's lefty versus lefty, righty versus righty. Since we have a lefty versus lefty matchup in Miley versus Schwarber, Schwarber batting left-handed while Wade Miley is pitching left-handed, we will get the strikeout for Wade Miley on Kyle Schwarber, and that is going to do it. The Cubs threaten but do not score here in the top half of the fourth. Man, oh man, it's a tight one here in game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night. Who will blink first? It's Cubs nothing and the Brewers nothing. One, 4-5. 1-4-5. Here we are. Ace or dynamic on Quintana? No. Satsack on Ryan Braun? He is not a Satsack. So therefore, that's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash. Jose Quintana has flash. That 5 will be reduced to a 4, putting runners at the corners for Travis Shaw. He will bat off the men on base chart with a 46. Same reliever gets the strikeout. And again, when we say same, it's lefty versus lefty, righty versus righty. Since we have a lefty versus lefty matchup, Travis Shaw will be putting himself onto the bench for a strike 3 called. And again, the Brewers threaten but do not score. We head to the 5th, all knotted up at 0-0. Addison Russell will lead things off for the Brewers. I'm sorry, for the Cubs, excuse me. 3-4-5. Here we go. Star pitcher on Miley. He's not. Satsack on Russell. He is not. That is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash or control. Wade Miley has semi-flash and semi-control. We'll use this decider die roll for flash. So that 4 will be reduced to a 3. Does Miley have control? He does not. So that 4 will be reduced to a 3. The Cubs are going to go big or go home. They're going to put Russell on at third base for Javi Baez. He will take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 14. Scrapper hits single. Javi Baez is not a scrapper, so therefore the Cubs are going to take the first run of the ball game, as it will be a RBI double for Javi Baez, and that is going to bring up Albert Almora to the dish off the men on base chart with a runner on at second base. 13, fresh relief pitcher gets the pop out. And again, we're in the semi-freshest innings. Wade Miley, according to the decider die, is still considered fresh. So therefore, the Cubs do get a run on the board, as Almora will get the pop out, and that will do it for the top half of the fifth, as the Cubs take the lead 1-0 over the 2018 Milwaukee Brewers. 156. Ace on Quintana. No. Sad sack on VR. No. That is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash. Quintana has flash, so that 5 will be reduced to a 4. The Brewers have runners at the corners for Eric Kratz, the catcher for today's ball game, and he will have his hacks being taken off the men on base chart. 36. Active batter gets runners advance 2 bases single plus a stolen base. The way that I'm playing it is by the batter's running quality. So since Kratz is a semi-stoic runner, he's not active, so therefore that is going to be a contact chart result. And I usually roll the red die for my contact chart results. It's a 2. Sad sack. Unfortunately, Eric Kratz is not a sad sack, so therefore he will tie things up at 1 thanks to an RBI from Eric Kratz. The Brewers tie it up with the Cubs at 1-1 after 5 innings of play here in Game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night. 225. 225. Here we are. Ace pitcher on Miley. He's a semi-ace. The decider die says yes, he is. So therefore, that is going to be a no runs result of a 2 dot for flash and a blank for control. And that is going to do it for the top half of the 6th. It's still a tight ball game. And man, is this really a tight pitching duel between these two ball clubs? Who will blink first out of this 1-1 tie to hopefully take a 1-0 series lead in this Rivalry Night episode between the 2018 Cubs and the 2018 Milwaukee Brewers. 236. Struggler or Gilded on Quintana? No. Sad sack on Orlando Arcia? No. That is going to be an RBI question mark check. Oh, and the decider die says it's not going to happen. The black die is a 6. In this case, the white number. Man, oh man, what an opportunity missed. Oh man, an opportunity missed by the Brewers to take the full lead, possibly the 3-1 lead, into the 7th inning. Down the stretch we go in Game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night between the 2018 Cubs and the 2018 Brewers, as we are all deadlocked at 1-1, as it will be a no runs result of a 3 blank, and that will do it for the first 6 innings here at Miller Park. The Cubs and Brewers are all deadlocked at 1-1. 133. Ace on Miley. He's a semi-ace. The decider die says yes, he is. So therefore, that is going to end up being a no runs result of a 3 dot for flash and a blank for flash and a dot for control. And that will take us to the 7th-inning stretch here in Game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night between the Cubs and the Brewers. Who will break this this 1-1 tie between these two heated state line rivals between the Cubs and the Brewers? As while these fine folks sing a good rendition of God Bless America, along with Take Me Out to the Ball Game, we do see a new pitcher trotting in from the bullpen for the Chicago Cubs. We'll see who that is after we take this really quick timeout. And it seems that Carl Edwards Jr. will be the new pitcher for the Cubs as he will trot his way in from the bullpen and take up his warm-up tosses as he has semi-ace, double flash, and semi-wild for his appearance here in Game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night. And of course, for this at-bat against Lorenzo Cain, Carl Edwards Jr. will have the full extent use of the ace quality. With that being said, we got Lorenzo Cain up at the dish in a 1-1 tie as we resume play here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. 2-2-4. Ace pitcher on Edwards. Remember, we gave him the full ace quality for this at bat against Lorenzo Cain. So therefore, he is an ace. So therefore, that'll be a no runs result of a 4 dots, and that is going to do it for the 7th inning here at Miller Park. Here for Game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night, your score remains deadlocked at 1-all between the Cubs and the Brewers. One, 4, 6. Acer dynamic on Miley. He's a semi-ace, and the decider die says he's not. Satsack on Rizzo. He's not. That'll be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if control. Wade Miley does have semi-control, and it looks like the decider die was used to check if Miley was an ace or not. And I believe it was. Oh, wow. Wow. Wade Miley thought he had it, but it sure turns out he did not. So therefore, it'll be a men on base result of a 1. So that 1 will stay put for Wilson Contreras to bat off the men on base chart. Oh my God. 66. Scrapper hit single. Wilson Contreras is not a scrapper. So therefore, that is going to be oh man, that is rough. That is going to be a double for the Cubs. Wilson Contreras will give the Cubs the 2-1 lead, and the Cubs fans, to the delight, to their extended delight, are jumping up and down here at Miller Park to see their team ahead of the Brewers as they lead it 2-1. We continue on the men on base chart for Kyle Schwarber for his hacks off the men on base chart, and we have a 56. Patient draws the walk. Unfortunately, Kyle Schwarber has semi-patient. But the decider die says he does not. So therefore, that is going to be a contact result. Red die is coming back out once more with a 4. Champer Hero. Kyle Schwarber is neither. So therefore, that'll be a ground out to end the inning here at Miller Park. The top half of the 8th with the Cubs in front, 2-1. This is Yelich's opportunity to get the Brewers back on track, hopefully to get them back into this ball game. Down by 1, it's Cubs 2, Brewers 1. We'll kick things off here in the bottom half of the 8th with a 2-5-6. Workman on Edwards. No. Satsack on Yelich. Get out of here. When is Christian Yelich ever a Satsack? So therefore, it'll be a men on base result. It's a start. -1 for the black die if flash. Carl Edwards Jr. has double flash. So that 5 will be reduced to a 3. Go big or go home. They're putting Yelly on at third for Jesus Aguilar to bat off the men on base chart. Wow. Unbelievable, folks. 15. The Cubs fans started to celebrate a little bit early. Scrapper hits double. Aguilar's not a scrapper. Therefore, Aguilar will put this piece of cheese into the cheap seats in right field. It is high. It is far. It is gone. The Brewers take a 3-2 lead over the Cubs, and that is going to bring in their closer. The Brewers jump all over the Cubs for 2. They get one of the run right back that they gave up in the top half of the 8th, but they went a little bit extra for Jesus Aguilar to deliver the go-ahead home run here in the bottom half of the 8th. Oh my. Last call for the Cubs here in game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night, as we do see that bullpen door swing wide open as the closer for the Brewers is trotting in for the bullpen, and we will see who that is after we take this really quick timeout. Indeed, it is last call for the Cubbies as Corey Knebel, the closer for the 2018 Milwaukee Brewers, is making his way out onto the mound here in front of a rowdy crowd here at Miller Park as they look to see their Brewers go up 1-0 in this Rivalry Night series to take it across state lines over to Wrigley Field for Game 2. Knebel has semi-star, double flash, and semi-control for this appearance, but for this at-bat against Addison Russell, Knebel will have the full extent of the star quality. With that being said, it's Brewers 3, Cubs 2. Will we see extras, or will this game be considered game over? Let's find out right now with the Brewers in front of the Cubs, 3-2. 3-4-5. Star pitcher on Knebel. Remember, we gave Knebel the full extent use of the star quality, and guess what? He has star. So therefore, that's going to be a no runs result of a 3-0, and that is going to be the ball game, folks. Your final score here for Game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night. The Brewers come from behind to down 2-1. They tie things up with the Cubs at 1, which the Cubs in turn took the lead in the 8th. But it was not meant to stay that way forever, as the Brewers, considering off of Jesus Aguilar, hit the go-ahead 2-run home run to bring in Christian Yelich from third. And that is how your final score came to be. It's a 3-2 victory for the Brewers as we head across state lines for Game 2 of this episode of Rivalry Night. We head off to Wrigley, but before we get Game 2 underway, let's take a look at the Game 1 game summary presented by your favorite Bitty Beer products. And again, we remind you, if you choose to drink Bitty Beer, please remember to drink responsibly. As always, it has big taste at a bitty price. It's Bitty Beer. Once again, the final score for Game 1 is Brewers 3 and the Cubs 2. And we're just about set and ready to go for Game 2 of this episode of Rivalry Night here at the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. But when the Brewers and Cubs get together, the friendly confines turns into a battlefield. Unbelievable. So therefore, let's get this second game underway. No changes in the lineup for the Brew Crew, but some changes to the Cubs order as Ian Happ will lead things off. Schwarber will bat fifth in the order as Victor Caratini will come into catch John Lester, the starter for the Cubs, and Caratini will bat sixth as John Lester and the aforementioned John Lester will be on the hill for the Cubs, and Ulysses Chassin will be on the mound for Milwaukee. With that being said, let's get game two underway here at Wrigley Field for this episode of Rivalry Night. Ryan Braun will lead things off, and John Lester says he's ready to go, and so are we. We'll begin game two with a 1-2-3. Workman or Struggler on Lester. No. Champ on Braun. He's not a champ, so therefore that'll be a no runs result of a 3 blank, and that is going to do it for the top half of the first. The Brewers, it's Brewers nothing, and the Cubs are coming to bat in their half of the first inning. 2-4-5. Struggler on Chassin. No. Sad sack on Javi Baez. No. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash or control. Ulysses Chassin does have flash, so that 4 will be reduced to a 3. And it seems, according to the decider die, Chassin has control. So therefore, that 3 will be reduced to a 2. So from 4 to a 2, Baez will be placing himself at second base for Ian Happ. Happ will bat off the men on base chart with a 16. Good eye? No, Happ does not have a good eye. So therefore, that'll be a strikeout for Chassin and for Happ, of course. And that is going to do it for the first inning. The Cubs threaten but do not score here in their half of the first. It's Brewers nothing and the Cubs nothing after 1 inning of play. 3-4-6. Pitcher not fresh. Again, 3 full fresh, 3 semi-freshness is how we're playing this inaugural season of the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. So Lester is still considered fresh. Hero on Travis Shaw. He's not a hero. So therefore, that's going to be a no runs result. Hang on, folks. There's a possibility of a solo home run. Travis Shaw has home run king. Therefore, he's going to connect on a piece of cheese, sends it out to Waveland Avenue, and it is gone. The Brewers are going to take the 1-0 lead off of a Travis Shaw solo home run as the Brewers are going to lead the Cubs 1-0 in this Rivalry Night episode for Game 2. Again, for this episode, I should say, of Rivalry Night. We head to the bottom half of the second. It's Brewers 1 and the Cubs nothing. 1-2-4. Here we are. Ace pitcher on Chassin. He's not an ace. Champ on Hayward. No. That'll be a no runs result of a 4 dot, and that will do it for the top half of the bottom half, I should say, the bottom half of the second inning. Thanks to a Travis Shaw home run in the top half of this inning, the Brewers are going to head into the third inning with a 1-0 lead over their rivals in the Chicago Cubs. 1-2-3. Workman or Struggler on Lester. He's not. Champ on VR. He's not a champ. So therefore, that is going to be a no runs result of a 2 dot. And that will do it for the top half of the third. The Brewers hang on by their 1-0 lead over the Cubs as we head to the bottom half of the third inning. 2-3-6. Here we are. Struggler or Gilded on Chassin? No. Satsack on Chris Bryant? No way. That is going to be an RBI question mark check. And it looks like the decider die says no. The black die was right there at a 6. The Cubs had the opportunity to grab the lead, but it will be a no runs result of a 3-dot. And that will do it for the first 3 innings here at the friendly confines of Wrigley Field with your score Brewers 1, Cubs nothing. Two, three, three. Ace pitcher on Lester. No. Champ on Kratz. He's not a champ. So therefore, no runs. 3 blank is your result off the no runs narrative charts. And that is going to end the top half of the fourth. The Brewers hang on by a dire piece of little teeny tiny piece of thread as they hang on to a 1-0 lead as we head to the bottom half of the 4th inning. We have triple three. So this is going to be an experience check. So let me just make sure here. We'll roll the black die for this. So 3-dot in case for no runs results. 6, icon batter or prospect pitcher. It seems we have an icon batter, but we don't have a prospect pitcher. So therefore, that is going to be a no runs result of a 3-dot to end things here in the bottom half of the 4th inning. The Brewers still hang on after 4 innings of play by their 1-0 lead over the Chicago Cubs. One, 5, 6. Ace on Lester. No. Sad sack on Arcia. No. That is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash. John Lester has flash, so therefore that 5 is going to be reduced to a 4. Put in the runners at the corners for Lorenzo Cain. In the bullpen, we do see it on our monitors. The bullpen is going for both squads, just in case. Most importantly for the Cubs, but for the Brew Crew, not quite yet. But they're still warming up down there. But the Cubs are trying to get someone up in the pen just in case if Lester falters here in this inning. We head to the men on base chart for Lorenzo Cain with a 34. Slugger hits double. Unfortunately, Lorenzo Cain is not a slugger, so therefore it's going to be a single. The Brewers are going to add on to their lead. It's 2-0 now, as it'll be that'll be all she. Technically, that'll be all she wrote for this inning, as it'll be a single, then end of inning result, and the Brewers will add on as we head to the bottom half of the 5th. Your score is now Brewers 2, Cubs nothing. 3-4-4. Workman on Chassin. Get out of here. No way. Satsack on Schwarber. Get out of here. No way. That is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if control. And it seems Jhoulys Chassin has semi-control. The decider die says he does not. So therefore, go big or go home. The Cubs are going to place Schwarber on at third base for Victor Caratini. They're looking to tie it up or possibly take the lead here. Victor Caratini will take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 13. Fresh relief pitcher. And again, we're playing this as 3 full fresh, 3 semi-fresh throughout the entirety of the inaugural season for the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. With that being said, Chassin is not fresh. So therefore, that is going to be a double. The Cubs are going to get on the board thanks to a Victor Caratini double. And that is going to prompt a mound visit from Eric Kratz to allow time to allow the bullpen arms to get going for both for the Brewers, as the Cubs already have theirs going. And we'll see who the new pitcher is when we get to the top half of the 6th. As John Lester, as we are being told, was really devastated after the last half inning. So he will not come out for the 6th. So we'll get a new pitcher in for the Cubs and possibly maybe for the Brew Crew as well in the 6th inning. So with that being said, we continue on with Ulysses Scene here off the men on base chart for Addison Russell. 24. Gold fielder makes the out. Christian Yelich is not gold, so therefore that is going to be an error on Yelich, placing runners at the corners for Javi Baez, and this could be huge for the Cubs. Can they find a way to break through? Let's find out. 45. Fresh pitcher gets the ground out. And again, we're playing it as 3 full fresh, 3 semi-fresh. So with that being said, the decider die says Chacin is fresh, and he says, I had enough of this. And thank God it was probably enough. So Javi Baez will get the ground out to end the 5th inning. The Cubs actually get 1 run across to score, but nothing more. It's still Brewers 2, Cubs 1 as we head to the 6th inning, and we'll see a new pitcher for the Cubs in the top half of the 6th. We'll find out who that is after we take this really quick timeout. And it seems that Jesse Chavez will be the new pitcher for the Cubs, as he has ace, star, flash, and double control. For this at-bat against Jesus Aguilar, Jesse Chavez will not have any qualities given to him, since we have all the qualities that you can ask for in a pitcher to get themselves to limit the damage here. And that's just what the Cubs are going to do, hopefully to keep this game right here to allow them to have a chance to take the lead in the bottom half of the 6th. But we got to play out the top of the 6th with Jesus Aguilar up at the dish. It's Brewers 2, Cubs 1 here at Wrigley Field as we resume play here in the top half of the 6th inning. 4, 5, 6. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, Chavez came in from the bullpen. He is considered fresh for the remainder of the contest. Champ on Aguilar. He's not a champ, so therefore, that is going to be a no-runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Cubs fans, I hate to break the news to you. Jesus Aguilar has a semi-home run king. The decider die was not used. So therefore, Jesus Aguilar is going to send one high and hit this one far. And I hate to break the bad news to you. It is 3-1 Brewers here in the here in the 6th inning now. We head to the bottom half of the inning. The Brewers will bring on a new pitcher to hopefully keep this score at a 3-1 lead for over the Cubs. And we'll see who the new pitcher is after we take this really quick timeout. And it seems Josh Hader will be on the mound for the Milwaukee Brewers, as he has semi-ace, double flash, and semi-control. For this at-bat against Ian Happ, Josh Hader will have the full extent use of the ace quality. With that being said, it's Brewers 3, Cubs 1, as we resume play here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. 2-2-4. 2-2-4. Here we are. Ace pitcher on Hader. Remember, we gave Hader the full extent use of the ace quality, so therefore he is an ace, and that is going to be a no runs result of a 4 dot, and that is going to do it for the first 6 innings here at the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. Your score after 6 innings of play is Brewers 3, Cubs 1. One, 3, 6 to begin the top half of the 7th. Ace pitcher on Chavez. You better believe it, he is an ace. So therefore, that'll be a no runs result of a 3 dot. And that is going to take us to the stretch here at the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. And while the guest conductor for the 7th inning stretch, along with the world famous organist at Wrigley Field, Gary Presley, leads this crowd of rowdy Brewers and Cubs fans in a beautiful chorus of Take Me Out to the Ball Game, along with God Bless America. We will delightfully sing along with them, and we'll be back with you for the bottom half of the seventh inning with the Brewers in front over the Cubs, 3-1. And a nice job well done by the world's famous organist here at Wrigley Field, Gary Presley, and as well as our guest conductor for the seventh inning stretch as they led both these fans of the Brewers and the Cubs in a beautiful Wrigley style version of Take Me Out to the Ball Game, along with a beautiful chorus of God Bless America. And we resume play here in the bottom half of the seventh with Jason Hayward up the dish against Josh Hader. It's Brewers 3, Cubs 1. 2-4-4. Ace pitcher on Hader. He's a semi-ace, but the decider dice says he's not. Utility on Hayward. No. That is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if control. Hader has semi-control. The decider dice says he does. So that 2 will be reduced to a 1, putting Chris Bryant on the up at the dish in a clutch situation here in the bottom half of the seventh inning. And he will come off the men on base chart with a 23. Eager grounds out. Chris Bryant is not eager. He walked him. Chris Bryant will walk his way down to first base to bring up Anthony Rizzo. Bryant representing the tying run. Rizzo representing the go-ahead run. We hit off the men on base chart for Anthony Rizzo with a 23. Eager grounds out. Rizzo is not eager. The bases are loaded, full of Cubs. The crowd here at Wrigley Field can sense it. Kyle Schwarber is stepping up to the plate off the men on base chart with a 44. Wild pitcher. No, Hader is not wild. So therefore, that is going to be a flyout. Man, oh man, that was the Cubs' chance to take the lead there. The Cubs threaten but do not score. It remains Brewers 3, Cubs 1. 2-3-4. 2-3-4. Here we are. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, Chavez is the bullpen arm, so he is considered fresh for the remainder of the contest. Satsack on Shaw. Get out of here. When has Travis Shaw ever a Satsack? So therefore, it'll be a men on base result, -1 for the black die if control. Jesse Chavez has double control. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 4 blank, and that'll seal up the deal for the top half of the eighth. We head to the bottom half of the eighth inning with the Brewers in front of the Cubs, 3-1. 1-3-6. Ace pitcher on Hader. He's a semi-ace, but the decider dice says he's not. Hero on Caratini. He's not a hero. So therefore, that is going to be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Oh, but Victor Caratini does not have home run king or slugger qualities. So therefore, that is going to do it for the bottom half of the eighth. In the first 8 innings of this one, the Brewers still hang on to by their 3-1 lead over the Cubs. We head to the 9th inning by that score. 1-2-3. Workman or struggler on Chavez? No. Champ on VR. He's not a champion. That is going to be a no runs result of a 1 blank. Last call for the Cubs as Addison Russell will lead things off against Josh Hader in the bottom half of the 9th with the with the Brewers in front, 3-1. 1-1-2. Ace pitcher Hader is a semi-ace, and the decider die says he's not. Is Russell a sad sack? He is not. That is going to be an RBI question mark check. Hader was the decider die was used to check if Hader was an ace or not. Did Russell get the RBI? He did not. The Cubs. Oh man, the Cubs almost had it by their fingertips. Man, oh man. But the Brewers are going to take game 2 and the series for this episode of Rivalry Night. We go back to Miller Park for the all-important game 3 for the Brewers to see if they can try to sweep the Chicago Cubs. The Brewers win game 2 of this episode of Rivalry Night here at Wrigley Field by the final score of 3-1 over the Cubs. Stay tuned for the game 2 game summary presented by your favorite Bitty Beer products. And again, we remind you, if you choose to drink Bitty Beer, please remember to drink responsibly. As always, it has big taste at a bitty price. It's Bitty Beer. And we'll see you back at Miller Park for game 3 of this episode of Rivalry Night. Once again, the final score, the Brewers win the Rivalry Night series over the Cubs, and they take a 2-0 series lead, setting up for a sweep back at Miller Park by the final score of 3-1. Will there be a sweep, or will the Cubs salvage a game in this Rivalry Night series with the 2018 Milwaukee Brewers, as we are back here at Miller Park for game 3 of this episode of Rivalry Night between the 2018 Chicago Cubs and the 2018 Milwaukee Brewers. Some couple changes to the batting order for both teams, as Daniel Murphy will come in to play second base, shifting Javi Baez over to short. And since Javi Baez is playing out of position, he will get the full iron quality. So when he's being called upon in the field, he will get the iron quality because he's playing out of position. For the and of course, Wilson Contreras is back in the catch. The starter, Cole Hamels, for the Cubs. For the Brewers, Tyler Saladino will come into the lineup at 9th. He replaces Arcia. Manny Pena will come in to catch the starter Gio Gonzalez, who is finishing up his warm-up tosses as we speak. And Hernan Perez will come in to bat 7th and play second for Jonathan VR. With that being said, Gio Gonzalez is your starting pitcher for the Brewers. As we will see, Cole Hamels in the bottom half of the first for the Cubs. With that being said, do or die for the Cubs. They need to win this game in order to stay off the sweep of the Brewers. With that being said, let's play ball from Miller Park for Game 3 of this episode of Rivalry Night. 2-4-5. 2-4-5. Here we are. Struggler on Gio. He's not. Sad sack on Baez. No, that is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die. If flash or control, Gio has flash, so that 4 will be reduced to a 3, and he has semi-control. The decider die says yes, he does. So therefore, that 3 will be reduced to a 2, putting Javi Baez on at second base for Ian Happ. Happ will bat off the men on base chart with a 22. Batting at home, no, the Cubs are at Miller Park in enemy territory here in Milwaukee with your as they are the visitors. So Ian Happ will get the flyout. The Cubs threaten but do not score here in their half of the first. It's Cubs nothing, and the Brewers are coming to bat in their half of the first inning. 4-4-6. 4-4-6. Here we are. Star pitcher on Hamels. No. Hero batter on Pena. He's not a hero batter. So therefore, that is going to be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Oh, but the black die is not a 6, though. So therefore, it's going to be a no runs result of a 4 blank. Double check. Star no. Hero no. Yes, decided I was not used. Manny Pena has semi-slugger, but the black die, in this case, the white number, is not a 6. So therefore, it'll be a no-runs result of a 4 blank. And that will do it for the first inning here at Miller Park for Game 3 of this episode of Rivalry Night, with your score at a big, fat goose egg between the Cubs and the Brewers. 1-5-6. Ace on Gio. Yes. He has ace, so therefore that's going to be a no runs result of a 5 blank, and that will do it here for the top half of the second. We're through an inning and a half. The score remains zip to zip between the Cubs and the Brewers. Tyler Saladino will lead things off for the Brew Crew with a 1-3-5. Ace pitcher on Hamels. He's a semi-ace. The decider die says yes, he is. So therefore, that will be a 1-3-5. Yes, no runs result of a 1 dot. And that will do it here for the bottom half of the second. We play 2 innings here at Miller Park. The Cubs and Brewers are deadlocked at a zip-to-zip tie. 1-4-6. Acer dynamic on Gio. He is a semi-ace. The decider die. Oh, excuse me. He's a full ace. Excuse me. Gio Gonzalez is an ace, so therefore that'll be a no runs result of a 1 blank, and that will do it for the top half of the third. We head to the bottom half of the inning, all knotted up at a scoreless tie between the Cubs and the Brewers. Who will blink first? 2-3-4. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, 3 full fresh, 3 semi-fresh is how we're playing it for this inaugural season of the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. Since we're still in the freshness innings, Cole Hamels is still fresh. 2-3-4. Here we are. Dad sack on Kane. No, that is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if control. Cole Hamels has semi-control, and it seems, yes, decided I was not used. So therefore, Hamels does not have control. That is going to place the runners at the corners for Christian Yelich. Man, oh man, was he ever clutch with the runners in scoring position? Can he do it again off the men on base chart? Let's find out. With a 24, gold fielder makes the out. Anthony Rizzo is a semi-gold fielder. The decider die says yes, he is. He makes a ESPN Sports Center top 10 diving play to feed it to Hamels to get Yelich at first. My goodness. So therefore, after 3 innings of play, it's the Cubs nothing and the Brewers nothing after 3 innings of play. Three, 5, 6. Workman on Gio. Get out of here. No way. Champ on Contreras. He's not a champ. So therefore, that'll be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run Wilson Contreras does not have home run king or slugger, so therefore it'll be a no runs result of a 5 blank, and that will do it here for the top half of the fourth. The score remains deadlocked at a zip to zip tie, and in this situation, is getting somewhere towards the middle part of the game. You got to start thinking to yourself, who will be the first team to blink first? And usually, whichever team blinks first normally loses, possibly, maybe, if they ever find a way to come back into this game, they would lose almost every single time. With that being said, it's Cubs nothing and the Brewers nothing as we head to the bottom half of the fourth inning. Two, four, six. 2-4-6. 4-6. Here we are. Star pitcher on Hamels. No. Champ on Aguilar. He's not a champ. So therefore, that's going to be a no runs result with the possibility of a solo home run. Jesus Aguilar has a semi home run king. So therefore, the decider die was not used. Star, no. Champ, no. Yes, decider die was not used. So therefore, Jesus Aguilar does not have home run king. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 6 blank. And that is going to seal up the deal for the first 4 innings here at Miller Park. We continue with this scoreless tie here for game 3 of this episode of Rivalry Night. The Brewers are looking to sweep while the Cubs are trying to stay off the sweep and try to salvage this game of this 3-game set for this episode of Rivalry Night. 156. Ace on Gio. You bet he is an ace. So therefore, that is going to be a no runs result. 156. Yep. No runs result of a 1 dot. And that is going to do it for the top half of the fifth. We head to the bottom half of the inning with your score. Cubs nothing and the Brewers nothing. Two, 5-6. 2-5-6. Here we are. Workman on Hamels. No. Satsack on Braun. He's not a Satsack. So therefore, that'll be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash. Hamels does have flash. So therefore, that 2 will be reduced to a 1. Putting the runner on at first base for Travis Shaw. He will take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 45. Fresh pitcher gets the ground out. Well, again, we're playing in the semi-freshest innings now. And unfortunately for Cole Hamels, he is not fresh. So therefore, that is going to be a single, placing runners at the corners. And the Cubs manager is still trusting Cole Hamels to get his team back in the dugouts and hopefully to grab the bats to hopefully get themselves on the board first. But I think the Brewers have enough opportunity here to get themselves on the board first. Let's see what happens as we resume play off the men on base chart for Hernan Perez. 56. Patient draws the walk. Hernan Perez is not a patient batter. So therefore, it will be a contact result. And I usually roll the red die for my contact charts. It's a 1. Okay, so first we're going to look for a whiffer versus flash pitcher. We do have a flash pitcher, and we have a semi-whiffer arm. We have a semi-whiffer batter. And according to the decider die, yes, we have a whiffer batter. So therefore, we're going to roll once more. The strikeout will roll the decider die. Bullet is a strikeout. Blank will be an RBI. And the Brewers are going to lead this game 1-0 over the Chicago Cubs after 5 innings of play, thanks to a Hernan Perez RBI. With that being said, we continue to roll on the main chart. For the top half of the sixth, it's Brewers 1, Cubs nothing. 1-2-5. 1-2-5. Here we are. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, we're in the semi-freshest innings, and Gio Gonzalez is not fresh. So therefore, it'll be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Daniel Murphy is a neutral runner. So therefore, he will be placed out at second for Javi Baez to bat off the men on base chart. 14. Scrapper hits single. Baez is not a scrapper, so therefore that is going to be a double and a tie game at 1-all for the Cubs and the Brewers. Man, oh man, it's tight here. Who will take this all-important Game 3 of this episode of Rivalry Night? Let's find out as we continue to roll off the men on base chart. 12. Slugger hits home run. Oh my gosh. Ian Happ has Slugger, so therefore, to the delightness of the Cubs fans, of the many Cubs fans here at Miller Park, this ball is going to be hit one high, hit one far, and it is gone. Ian Happ will hit a 2-run home run. The Cubs lead it 3-1 over the Milwaukee Brewers here in Game 3 of this episode of Rivalry Night. We continue to roll on the men on base chart with the bases empty for Jason Hayward. 26. Home Run King hits home run. Unfortunately, Jason Hayward does not have any qualities printed on his card except for the fielding, running, and experience quality. So therefore, that is going to be a contact result. And let's see what we got here this time. It's a 5. Champ, It will be a pop-out, but the Cubs do grab the lead from the Brewers here at Miller Park. Your score is now Cubs 3, Brewers 1, and we do see, yes, I believe we're just getting word that Cole Hamels' hand was shooken by his manager on a job well done, even though the score was not meant to be. But with that being said, we got himself the lead now, and he'll leave with the lead by the score of 3-1, as we do see the bullpen door swing wide open in deep right center field. We'll find out who that new pitcher is as we take this really quick timeout. And it seems that Justin Wilson will be the new pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. He has semi-star, double flash, and semi-wild. For this at-bat against Manny Pena, Justin Wilson will have the full extent use of the star quality. The Cubs lead the Brewers as we resume play here in the bottom half of the sixth inning by the score of 3-1. We have a 1-3-4. Ace pitcher on Wilson. No. Champ on Pena. No. That is going to be a no runs result of a 4 blank. And that is going to do it for the first 6 innings here at Miller Park. The Cubs are trying to grab or salvage a game in this series. Can they do it? Let's head to the 7th inning with the Cubs in front of the Brewers. 3-1. Gio Gonzalez will trot back out to the mound to hopefully get a quality start here before leaving the ball game here with a 1-4-5. Ace or dynamic? Gio has ace, and again, it's full ace, so therefore, that'll be a no runs result of a 5 blank, and we head to the stretch here at Miller Park with your score, Cubs 3, Brewers 1. 1-1-6. Struggler on Justin Wilson. No. Utility on Saladino. No. That is going to be an RBI question mark check. And guess what, folks? The black die, even though the black die is not a 6, the decider die says yes, there will be an RBI. The lead is cut in half as Saladino will deliver an RBI for the Brewers. Gio Gonzalez will trot his way back out to the mound one more time to hopefully send this game to keep the score right here, I should say, at a Cubs lead of 3-2 over the Milwaukee Brewers. 145, ace or dynamic? Yes, Gio Gonzalez has ace, so therefore that is going to be a no runs result of a 5-dot, and that will seal up the deal here for Gio Gonzalez as his manager shakes his hand on a job well done. The guys will try to give you the lead here to hopefully win this ball game for you. With that being said, we head to the bottom half of the 8th. The Cubs hang on by 1 run. It's Cubs 3, Brewers 2. Three, four, six. 3, 4, 6. Here we are. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, Justin Wilson is the bullpen arm for the Cubs. He is considered fresh for the remainder of the contest. Hero batter on Lorenzo Cain. Yes, sir, he is. So therefore, that is going to be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Lorenzo Cain is a semi-active runner, and it seems the decider die was not used. Wilson is the bullpen arm. Hero, no. Okay, so the decider die was not used. Cain is active. Is semi-active. The decider die says he's not. So therefore, can't go higher than a 6. The bases are loaded, full of Brewers. For Christian Yelich. Oh boy. We hit off the men on base chart for Yelich's hacks here. Wow. Oh my goodness, folks. A 66 scrapper hit single. Christian Yelich is not a scrapper. That is going to be a bases clearing double. Oh my goodness. And from out of nowhere, the Brewers fans jump up and down. The Cubs fans once again celebrated too early. And folks, the Brewers take the lead 5-3 as we resume play off the men on base chart with a runner on second for Jesus Aguilar. 46. Same reliever gets the strikeout. And again, when we say same, it's righty versus righty, lefty versus lefty, or a relief pitcher. Since we don't have the same handiness that the pitcher and the batter both have, but Justin Wilson is a relief arm, so therefore, Justin Wilson will get the strikeout. And folks, we head to the 9th inning. Last call for the Cubs. It's Brewers 5, Cubs 3. Wilson Contreras will lead things off with a 2-4-6. Star pitching on Gio. Gio was back out there, and I forgot Gio. His manager went over to him during the half inning, even though we thought his hand was shooken, but it turns out it wasn't. He told him Gio was ready to come out of the game, and he said, "Hey, can you do us a favor? Do one more time, get us one more inning in there." He says, "Yes, sir," and that's what he's doing. So we ask, is Gio Gonzalez a star pitcher? He is not. Champ on Contreras. He is not. Therefore, it'll be a no-runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Wilson Contreras does not have a home run king or slugger. So therefore, that will be a no-runs result of a 4-dot. And that is going to be the ball game, folks. The final score as the Brewers sweep the Cubs here in this episode of Rivalry Night as they win game 3 by the final score of 5-3. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode of Rivalry Night featuring the 2018 Chicago Cubs and the 2018 Milwaukee Brewers. It seems we ran out of time for today, but never fear. Let's see what's coming up next time here on the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. We continue our final week of MLB Stars in college that played at the College Baseball World Series, as we are going to rewind the clock back to 1973 and feature another college World Series star from MLB as we feature Sal Bondo as he leads the swinging Oakland Athletics against the 1973 New York Mets as we revisit the Fall Classic from 1973 as on the next episode of World Series Rewind. Who will come out on top of this matchup? Well, I guess you're going to have to tune in next time here on the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the History Maker Baseball Express Hour that was being played with History Maker Baseball Express. We look forward to bringing you more matchups of Rivalry Night, World Series Rewind, Cross Era Showdown, and a blast from the past as we revisit some classic and memorable games from Major League Baseball throughout the 2026 Major League Baseball regular season.